Well, it's been making headlines for the last 3 or 4 months. One of the biggest stories in the country, and that is in her words, an escort service, in the media's words, a call girl operation, much smaller in D.C. than the male operations, which the politicians really like. But they've gone after her. And so she's standing up and saying, I'm releasing this phone list because this is extremely hypocritical. And she joins us to spend a full hour with us at the bottom of the hour. We'll take 30 minutes of calls on this subject. Jeane, thank you so much for having the courage to come on the radio.
Inviting me.
We're going to break here in about 3 minutes, but in this short segment, just for those that don't know your story or your side of it, just in a nutshell, tell us basically what's happened.
Well, from what I gather, and I'll try to compress it as much as I possibly can because it's a very convoluted and detailed story, but from what I gather, I was under investigation more or less, and it could have been prior to this, but more or less from March or so of 2004 until last October 4th of 2006 when there was a raid conducted on my home, a search warrant executed upon my home. Now, I'm using the word investigated or investigation rather loosely here. It does not appear to have been an investigation into prostitution-related services or activities, since, oh, by the way, prostitution is not a federal crime. It is left for the states in the lower state courts, I might say, to adjudicate. However, what appears
a local vice issue.
It's a local vice issue, absolutely. What appears to have taken place, however, is some sort of a gathering of evidence on Deborah Jeane Palfrey, sort of a la J. Edgar Hoover style. Personal information, financial information, and the like. There does not appear to have been any sort of actual investigation from what I gather, and I am 10 months into this now, and I've gone through a civil process. Now I'm into a criminal process.
Well, I'll tell you from what I've seen in the past, and just instinctively I've seen this before, they may have been tracking what was going on with your business to use that without your knowledge for higher-ups to actually blackmail people.
That's kind of my thinking, or something as nefarious as that.
Mm-hmm.
Or something as nefarious as that.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what we believe has occurred.
You don't see that in the media. Please continue.
No, you sure don't, and you're very on point with that observation. Why did they pull the trigger on October 4 last year? I mean, I could still be ongoing here, except I did a couple of unusual things last year, which I think whoever they are that were watching me became very concerned. Last July, I put my house of 15, 16 years on the market. Simultaneously, within a few weeks, early August of last year, I closed my business, the one in question, Pamela Martin and Associates, which I had operated nonstop for 13 years. In some people's eyes, it would have been perceived as an unexpected move.
So they thought maybe you were planning to kind of leave the mafia, and they don't ever let you leave, kind of.
That's another very good observation. As long as the status quo was ongoing, because I was so reliable, I was so dependable, I ran such a nice service, sort of in the style of the Mayflower Madam from New York from back in the 1980s. No drugs. We paid our taxes every year, believe it or not. Everything was just so nicely done, and then I all of a sudden quit.
Yeah, they got paranoid, and then the wicked flee when none pursueth, basically because they were paranoid. Now they've triggered what they were worried about. Or perhaps they were trying to trigger a chain of events because they had assessed you to cause you to stand up and fight back against them, because they had assessed you psychologically to run now a massive blackmailing operation. Stay with us. We'll be right back with our guest. Just getting down to the meat and potatoes here. Why did you decide to go ahead and put these phone numbers out? Because obviously you're not stupid. You've been around the block. These are the type of people that I'll make you have an accident. Now, in the words of Jennifer Flowers, Bill Clinton's girlfriend or bimbo, she went on Larry King Live and Hardball and said that they're killing people. And they said, why are you saying that? They'll kill you. And she said, no, I'm going public. I'm putting all my cards on the table. That protects me, which in my experience, it actually is the safer course. But let me ask you, why did you decide to go public?
Well, I decided to go public for two reasons. One, the hypocrisy aspect, and that's being played out with Senator Vitter and certainly was played out with Randall Tobias a couple of months ago. And for all the very things that you are alleging right now, you are saying everything that my attorney and I and others behind the scenes have been saying for quite a while now. The two reasons, the hypocrisy and the susceptibility to blackmail.
I mean, you could be blackmailed forever, and then there's all these powerful people that are afraid of what info's coming out. You're the only one that can really confirm if that number was accurate. Yeah, you've had to go public.
In some respects, I did. I have not feared for my life. I feel that I'm being protected somehow, some way here, either by God or by somebody. Thus far, I'm fine. But you're absolutely right. By putting the numbers out there, that's it. There's nothing more that they could take from me or get from me.
Did you ever see any evidence that somebody high up was trying to get the pressure off of you?
No, nobody has come to my rescue. Absolutely no one.
So they use a service, but then they're more than happy to flush you down the toilet.
It seems that way. It sure seems that way. I had the 10,000 or so clients who, it's estimated, used my service, and the 133 or so women who apparently worked for me over the years. Not one, except for a gal who worked for me in the mid-'90s, has come forward to say, I want to help you.
Now, why don't they arrest Fox News reporter? Why don't they, Jeff Gannon, why don't they go get him? I mean, he was bringing male prostitutes in. He does gay video. He was running a string of horses under him. Why haven't they arrested the Fox News reporter?
Well, why haven't they arrested the hundreds and hundreds of other escort services that have been in operation all along from the onset of my debacle last October until now, and on all the ones that were in operation prior to this? They haven't gone after anyone but me. They haven't gone after the clients. They haven't gone after the girls. And they haven't gone after the hundreds of other agencies, services, businesses, independents in the Washington and D.C., Baltimore areas.
Just a question. I know you ran women, but it just seems from my study and what we keep seeing pop up that Republicans tend to be more on the gay side than Democrats.
I don't know about that. I seem to think that as well by reading news reports. But my agency was strictly a heterosexual agency, women for men. Well,
that may be the problem. That probably upsets some people high up in the administration. All right, we'll be right back. Maybe you weren't providing what they liked. All right, I'm going to... It's just unbelievable. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, on the other. The question is, why did they initiate this and force you to then defend yourself?
Well, your point a little while ago about how this should never have come out, that this was something bungled like the Watergate burglary was bungled years ago. And if it wasn't for the bungled burglary, perhaps Watergate never would have surfaced. This may be a very similar situation that I still contend, and I will continue to contend for forever, most likely, that Joe and Maria came out here only on a fishing expedition, and when they couldn't gain access to my property, because I was in Germany, the realtor couldn't let them in. That's when they made, I believe, the fatal mistake when they went up to Sacramento and got the search warrant. And how they got that search warrant based upon information 3 to 5 years old, I have no idea.
It's amazing. And, I know you're not here talking about names or ratting out. You're just putting out the phone numbers that were brought into the court case. But, how high, or any other little tidbits you can give us you haven't yet talked about, how high does this go, or any other facets?
Well, I don't know how high it goes. I'm learning more about my clients through the media than I probably knew about them during the 13 years that I actually knew them. But we now know it goes as high as at least a United States Senator. I'm hearing rumors of similar from other people, that there are other possibilities in that stratosphere, so to speak, on that level. I don't know. I do know that there are a tremendous amount of lobbyists. There are all sorts of people, I think, here who, and I